I say, my love, 222. This is your girl, Empress Goddess, the Georgia Peach. Welcome to Empress Goddess Presents. This is the Akashic Records in Twin Flames by Mari Siva. An essential guide to the secret nature of the Twin Flame and Akashic Records. If you want to learn more about the topics related to spirituality, then look no further. Mari Silva, I love her because I played a bunch of her books for you all. Mari Silva has made it her mission to share her extensive knowledge via easy to read books that you won't want to put down. So if you want to learn about psychic development, lucid dreaming, third eye awakening, or any other topic related to spirituality, then first check if you can't find the topic covered by Mari Silva. You'll be happy. You're right, because she's good. So without further ado, my loves, let's get into it.
This is Audible. Akashic Records in Twin Flames, an essential guide to the secret nature of the Akasha and attracting your twin flame. Written by Mari Silva, narrated by Ivan Bazinius. Akashic Records, unlocking the secret universal knowledge and nature of the Akasha, including prayer, guided meditation, and Akashic tarot reading. Written by Mari Silva, narrated by Ivan Bazinius. Introduction. Opening the Akashic records of oneself is a tremendous feat. Gaining access to the invisible yet powerful vibrations that control the flow of the universe may sound like science fiction, but it's not. Before you begin on your journey, I highly advise you to stop and take a few deep breaths. The journey that you're about to embark on will change the course of your destiny and the destiny of those around you. Every time you begin or end your listening session, accompany it with a few preparative deep and conscious breaths. This will set your intention straight because you'll be able to dedicate your full attention to what you listen to. Preparing your heart is as important as preparing your mind when accepting the information that you'll listen to, along with practicing the exercises. While the roots of Akashic records are buried deep in ancient practices, there is a lot of recently discovered information in this audiobook that will help you gain access to your records smoothly. You'll gain new knowledge about stuck emotions that are vibrating at bad frequencies, and you'll gain knowledge about transforming them into higher and more joyous vibrations. You'll begin by finding lingering wounds in your past, not just in this life, but past lives too. The healing process is difficult, but once people find their way through Akashic records, it becomes much easier than people think. Introduction to Karma and Karmic Patterns will help you gain enough insight into the historical roots that could be binding you in plateaus of low vibrations. While the information presented here won't instill the power of change within you, it will make sure that it maximizes and amplifies the efforts you make to transform yourself. Joy is one of the main motivations for people to access the Akashic records, and for good reason. You've probably tried to attract joy, and the result may have been mostly underwhelming, and that's normal at first. Once you awaken the true power of joy within you through the Akashic records, you'll be able to see how vibrations and energy can easily influence you and your environment. The more time you spend in the Akashic records, the more you'll be able to properly sense joy. Attracting joy will be no problem because you'll understand the very basic dynamics that control it through your direct access to the Akashic records. Using the energies and vibrations flowing through your Akashic records will give you the potential to manifest your deepest and most genuine desires. This manifestation is the product of seeing the world from a non-linear perspective, which opens up a world of opportunities blocked by a web of illusions. The limitations imposed upon you are, sadly, all internalized, designed to stop you from seeing the full truth. It is your responsibility to remove these restrictions through the Akashic records. Growth isn't the end goal. You're bound to grow with or without the Akashic records. Stopping the flow of time and energy is impossible, but unique individuals can add to and improve upon the collective vibrations that bind us. The challenges that you will encounter will not be easy, but each entanglement you unwind through the akashic records will be your ally. Not everyone can comfortably talk about why they love themselves. Sadly, most of the time, people don't love themselves as much as they need to. No external force can make you love yourself, whether you're in a relationship with a loving person or if it's your family that loves you. Bearing the load of karmic patterns and past traumatic events makes it very hard for people to accept and see themselves for who they truly are. Being afraid of discovering your true self because you may not like what you find is much worse than whatever you may discover. You can always use the akashic records to attract the change you deem necessary for your personal happiness and joy. Be prepared to discover within you a whole new world, accessible through the akashic records. There is more to you than you may have ever thought. Many people spend years thinking that what is on the surface is all there is to explore. The great depths of our souls and energy are way more intriguing and interesting than the surface, with limitless variations. So allow yourself to accept the truth provided to you by the akashic records and take hold of your destiny. Chapter 1. The History of the Akashic Records. What are the Akashic Records? When starting your spiritual journey, you need to have enough information to be in the right mindset. You need to quench your curiosity about the things that you have long thought were beyond your understanding. And it does not help that there is little information that can be found on the Akashic Records. And this is why you need to turn to professionals who have already acquired enough knowledge about the records to guide you. The Akashic Records are based on faith, so you need to open yourself to this experience and let go of your doubts. The word Akashic is an adjective derived from the word Akasha. In Sanskrit, the liturgical language of Hinduism, Akasha has various meanings. Some of its shades of meanings include space, ancient matter, and heavens. However, these words do not tell us much about the nature of the Akashic Records. Put simply, the Akashic Records include every thought, intent, and deed that ever occurred in human history. It encompasses the records of other realities and dimensions. Every soul has its own records, in which its past, present, and possible future are inscribed. It is worth mentioning that the records of each individual change as they develop. Although they may include future possibilities, Akashic records do not function like a fortune teller. The possibilities depicted in the records only allude to people's choices. So, if you have ever wondered if you have a choice on how your life unfolds, be assured that the answer is yes. Only your own choices shape your future. The records are only there to help you reach a favorable outcome. Just think of the Akashic Records as a grand library that contains all the knowledge that you need to better your life and reach harmony. The Akashic Records contain vast knowledge about every occurrence in human history. That is why you can think of them as the records of humanity itself. Since the dawn of time, the records have been presented to keep track of every source of life, including animals. They record every emotion you have ever felt, every thought that has ever crossed your mind, and every decision that you have ever made. Yet that does not mean that the records judge your choices or your shortcomings as a human. They are only there to record your journey, to aid you, and help you to have a more gratifying experience as a human. The Akashic Records are based on a very interesting concept, the concept of reincarnation. To fully use the records, you need to believe in that principle. Our world consists of perceptual cycles of death and rebirth. When you die, your soul, which has a specific vibration and essence, is reborn. The Akashic Records have inscriptions of your past lives too. By accessing them, you can learn of your past identity and make use of the experiences from your previous lives. The records have two main parts, a stagnant part and a developing part. The stagnant part refers to the essential design of the soul. Think of this design as the perfect state in which someone's soul can exist. The other part, the developing one, records all the lives the soul has gone through. During these lives, the soul wakes up or learns of its genuine uniqueness. In this process, the soul can finally make sense of its essential design and find peace and tranquility. Therefore, reincarnation pertains to the akashic records. You might be wondering where the akashic records are stored. Well, this is a valid question that shows your willingness to believe in the records and to benefit from them. To answer your question, the akashic records are thought to exist in an ethereal, non-physical plane, known as the akasha. The akasha flows through everything in our universe. It flows through nature, matter, and our souls. The akasha is somewhat like the Force in Star Wars. It encompasses everything. However, the key difference between the two is that the records do not give you any physical power, like telekinesis. The power the akasha records gives you is much subtler and understated. They give you a mental and a spiritual power to forge your path and to find your essential design, to tune your soul to reach its most perfect state. This begs the question, should you have special powers to access the akashic records? The short answer is no. You do not have to be a psychic to access your records. In the past, the akashic records were only accessed by shamans, psychics, and some philosophers, people highly attuned to their souls, either through psychic powers or plain faith. However, this has greatly changed. In the past few years, there has been a surge in the number of people able to access their records and to make use of them. This might be attributed to the state of consciousness that humanity has recently reached. We have become more attuned to our souls, so accessing the records now is not as hard as it used to be 100 years ago. Some people think that accessing the akashic records can be done only when they are not fully conscious. Some claim they access the records in dreams or when they were not conscious. Others point out that they access theirs through meditation or a deep trance, both of which involve a state of semi-consciousness. Some say that having a near-death experience is the only way to access the akashic records. Yet this is too extreme and rather unnecessary. You do not have to be on the verge of death to access your records. They are yours, which makes them your birthright. You never have to put yourself in unnecessary danger just to read them. Yoga, meditation, and other similar techniques may help you reach a deep state of focus and tranquility. One of the most potent methods used to access the akashic records is a sacred Mayan prayer. Although the sacred prayer can help, it is not sufficient on its own. Opening yourself to the experience and being willing to believe are key to successfully accessing the akashic records. Let's look at the history of the akashic records. Something as potent as the akashic records can never stay undetected for long. We can find evidence in various mentions of the records that date back to ancient civilization. Records have become a key player in many cultures and many societies. However, because the akashic records are sometimes referred to by an array of other names, it is hard to deduce that all of these names actually refer to the same concept, the akashic records. Despite what some might think, the records do not oppose or contradict any religion. The akashic records are not a religion on their own. We can find mentions of the records in Hinduism and even in Christianity. In ancient Egypt, the ancient Egyptian civilizations were perhaps one of the first civilizations to mention the concept of the akashic records. Evidence of this belief can be easily found in ancient scrolls and texts encoded in hieroglyphics. By discovering these scrolls and decoding them, we can understand how the ancient Egyptians perceived the akashic records. The scrolls mention that the priests are people who could tap into spiritual power, accessed and read their records. Not only that, but they also read the records of others. Of course, that put them in high regard. They were greatly revered by everyone, and even pharaohs sought their counsel. They also interpreted dreams based on the knowledge they gained from the records. Even ordinary people who could not read the records believed in their existence. The goddess Seshat was known as the keeper of the library, or the keeper of the great book of souls. Ancient Egyptians also called the Akashic records the repository of Thoth. In ancient India, just like ancient Egyptians, the ancient Indian sagas of the Himalayas believed in the existence of the Akashic records. They believed that every soul had its own records in which its whole life was depicted. They also thought that if people could focus enough, they could access the records and read them. This belief has extended to today's readings of palm leaves. Palm readers believe those leaves include parts of the Akashic records and that everyone has a specific leaf on which parts of the records can be seen. According to the beliefs of Hindu mysticism, the Akasha represents the material used to record deeds, thoughts, paths, and emotions. It is thought that Akasha is also an essential component of natural elements, such as air, water, and fire. In this sense, the Akasha encompasses everything, keeping all elements connected and in sync. In the Mayan culture, the Akashic records was an open secret in the Mayan culture. Even regular people knew of the records. Those who were able to read them, the high priests and priestesses, shared the knowledge they gained from the Akashic records with other people to help them forge their path and reach a higher level of knowledge and serenity. Perhaps one of the greatest contributions the Mayans made in connection to the Akashic records was their creation of the sacred prayer. The sacred prayer helps anyone access and benefit from the records if they are in a deep state of focus and spiritual attunement. In Western culture, Eastern civilizations and cultures are not the only sources of information on the Akashic records. Western culture caught up around the 16th century. The famous seer, astrologer, and physician Michel de Nostradam, or Nostradamus, wrote mysterious verses of poetry that predicted future events. He even predicted the Great Chicago Fire of 1871 and the September 11th attacks. It is often thought that he might have accessed the Akasha records by employing means that stem from Greek visions and Sufi mysticism. One of the first explicit mentions of the records in Western societies was in the late 19th century. The Russian occultist, thinker, and writer Helena Petrovna Blavatsky said that Akasha could create much energy, whether physical or otherwise. Rudolf Steiner, the known Austrian clairvoyant and philosopher, maintained that people could go beyond the material realm to gain more truth and knowledge about themselves. Perhaps the greatest proponent of the Akashic records was Edgar Cayce, who was known as the Sleeping Prophet. He held many sessions where he answered people's questions and offered them suggestions to heal based on his access to the Akashic records. Contrary to other beliefs, he thought that the Akashic records were found on Earth. He proposed that people were ready to make use of the records and to forge their destiny. Interestingly, during one of his sessions, the records revealed that he would fall sick if he continued his readings. He did not heed the warning, and he died a year later. In religious contexts, in Christianity and Judaism, the Akashic records are mentioned under different names in Judaism and in Christianity. They are called either the Book of Remembrance or the Book of the Living. Mentioned in the Book of Revelation and the Hebrew Bible, the Book of the Living is used to record the names of people who have forged a righteous path for themselves. Those whose names are found in the book are spared from the last judgment. The Book of the Living is mentioned at least 6 times in the book of Revelation. In Islam, the Akashic records in Islam are known as the Book of Decrees or Preserved Tablet. The Preserved Tablet includes all the thoughts, events, and intents that have ever existed since the dawn of time. The core difference between Islam's interpretation and other interpretations of the Akashic records is a belief that everyone has an angel who records their deeds. According to this belief, an angel is assigned to every individual and follows them, recording everything that they do. Benefits of reading the Akashic records. Well, after this healthy dose of history and general information on the Akashic records, you may now wonder about how they can benefit you. Well, accessing and reading the Akashic records can prove to be a life-transforming experience. The vast knowledge found in the records can point you in the right direction and give your life a much-needed purpose. Here are some merits of accessing your Akashic records. Learning from your past lives. We have established that the concept of reincarnation is closely tied to the Akashic records. The records depict your soul's entire history, including your past lives. It is natural to be curious about who you were in your past lives, as such a discovery can help you know who you are now. By reading your Akashic records, you can learn more about yourself and find your life's purpose. Also, some aspects of your past lives might be affecting your current one. For example, you might have been plagued by poverty in a previous life, and that poverty is now an aspect of your current one. In a similar vein, certain phobias that seem to have no known source or triggers can be a sign of a problem in one of your previous lives. By identifying what is blocking you from having a fuller, richer experience, you can clear these blocks and feel more self-assured. Getting definitive answers to your questions. Perpetual curiosity is a big part of the human experience. We've questioned, doubted, and searched for answers. However, finding definitive answers to your big questions can prove difficult. After all, you are a mortal who does not possess vast divine knowledge. And what if I told you that you could tap into that knowledge and get answers to your burning questions and more? Accessing and reading the Akashic records can be just the thing that you need. You can learn from the masters and teachers of the records about the secrets of the universe and finally find the peace you have always yearned to feel. Gaining more confidence. All humans experience moments when negative thoughts dominate their lives. This natural yet scary part of existence can hamper your plans and make you doubt yourself. These moments of self-doubt can cause you to underestimate yourself or even quit the activities that you are most passionate about. Because we need reassurance occasionally, we need to trust in something bigger than ourselves, something that holds all the knowledge. The Akashic records can help reassure you of your worth and talents. The confirmation the records provide might enable you to go on with your life and identify your soul's essential design. Not only will this enhance your quality of life, but it will also help you make informed decisions based on your soul's identity and talents. Having a sanctuary. We all dream of having a safe space, a refuge, or a sanctuary where we can have all the time in the world to reflect and to grow. Akashic records offer the perfect place to do so. They are, in themselves, a sanctuary where you can just take a few minutes to relax and forget about your everyday worries. Nothing is hurried in the records. You are not tied to someone else's schedule. It is a place where the concepts of time and space disappear, allowing you an organic, reflecting experience through which you can know who you are and who you will be. This is perhaps why many people who have accessed the Akashic records return to them multiple times a day for meditation and reflection. It is a place only governed by serenity and knowledge. Getting a glimpse of future possibilities. This is where the potential of the akashic record shines, because the records contain information about the past, the present, and the future. It includes all the possible paths your soul can take. Accessing and reading your akashic records can offer an enlightening experience. Instead of wondering about the future, with all its vagueness and unknown paths, you can have all the possibilities stretched out before your eyes. The akashic records do not function as a crystal ball that shows you your future, as only you can shape your destiny. But the knowledge they encompass can help you create the outcome you want based on your informed choices. For instance, Edgar Cayce could have stepped back from his akashic readings to avoid health issues, yet he chose not to. The possibilities the records show you are just events that might occur according to what you choose. The insights they offer are informative nonetheless. Improving your relationships. Sometimes we just wish we knew more about how we could improve our relationships. If you are one of the people who find it hard to form and maintain human connections, reading your records can help you overcome this problem. By gaining information about your past lives, you can identify what is blocking you from having healthy relationships, healing, and forgive rather than flood yourself with negativity. And you can gain more insight about your loved ones, which will greatly help you improve your relationships with them. Experiencing true bliss. The akashic records exude an immense amount of light, and such light can feel heady to average humans. Just by standing at the gateway of the akashic records, you can get a glimpse of this light, entering a state of full rapture. This state occurs due to the amount of divine energy you are subjected to when you read your records. During this process, you should feel more in sync with your soul and the divine nature that surrounds you. Chapter 2. Common Myths and Misconceptions. Some common myths and misconceptions surround akashic records and are mainly driven by a lack of knowledge. In this chapter, we'll discuss these myths in detail and why people should embrace akashic records for their moral, spiritual, and psychological fulfillment. Some common myths about akashic records. As you have listened in the previous chapter, akashic records consist of a record of what has happened, what is happening, and what will happen. These are powerful and intuitive tools, comprised of life-changing information that can help readers connect with various records. According to the records, time is flat, and something that happened many years back could also happen to you today or tomorrow. Everything has its akashic record, which can also be called a book of life. However, certain myths embody some beliefs, and some misconceptions are mistaken and wrong with akashic records. Different myths and misconceptions overlap sometimes, hence the two terms will be used interchangeably in this chapter. Only a few can understand and interpret akashic records. The greatest myth surrounding the akashic records is that only a select few individuals who are holier than thou or anointed by God to understand the records. Well, according to this myth, records can be understood by a few people gifted with the talent of interpreting them to others. This myth is based on self-worth, where other people often want to view themselves as better than others. This myth posits to the effect that if you are not chosen, then you are not worthy. The truth about this myth is that we all have an akashic record that has been a part of our lives for a very long time. The record originates from the same sources that all others do, showing we all come from the same energy. Therefore, since we are all complete and have access to get all the things we need, if we choose carefully, we are, more or less, the same. No people are more worthy than others. To dispel this myth, the counter-argument heavily draws from equality, which states that we are all equal before God. This makes it possible for everyone to understand the meaning of records without seeking assistance from the chosen ones. Humans should not access akashic records during their lifetime. There is also a false belief which states that humans should not access akashic records during their lifetime. The myth says that humans have only the privilege to peer inside the records when they die. A closer analysis of this myth shows it does not make sense, since it defies logic for the source to create records about our actions, deeds, and thoughts, and other information about our lifetime, only to be used when we're dead. The purpose of the information stored in the records is that it should be applied to our life, so it can help us make informed, life-changing decisions. Records should help us learn and master different skills and techniques that can improve our lives, instead of accessing that information only when we're dead. We are provided with the tools that can help us make aligned and appropriate decisions throughout our lives, instead of waiting to die first and then trying to apply that knowledge. Likewise, we live once, therefore, so we should use the knowledge that we acquire to improve our lives. People seek answers to the future from akashic records. Well, this is a misconception that purports that people can ask the records for answers about the future. Sometimes the answers you will get do not necessarily come to fruition as suggested or described by the records. When you consult akashic records for answers, you should always remember that you are the master of your destiny. Thus, you should be in control of your life, and know that the records are there to tell you the most likely outcome of something based on the trajectory of events that you are already within. The records are not synonymous with prophecy, but they just act as guidelines that can help you decide based on the outcome of a similar situation that has happened. The same trajectory can also happen, and you can use it to create your new path. However, you can use the records to redirect your possible outcomes from a specific scenario, rather than depending on the records to provide you answers. The records are effective because they help you project the likely outcome of something based on experience. Here, it is the experience that can help you deduce probable answers from the things yet to occur. Akashic records are used to control people. Well, another misconception is that akashic records are a form of mystery used to control people. In other sectors of different societies, these records are viewed as a cult controlled by sects and religions to have power over other people. Certain religions seek to control other people so that they can gain power and make more money. But akashic records are not like these sects. These are records that can be relied on for life-changing purposes and other related needs. Therefore, if you use the records for spiritual, moral, and psychological guidance, then no one can control you. The only person who can control you is the one whom you permit to do so. For instance, if you join a religious cult, you are effectively giving the leaders some power to control you. Otherwise, you are fully in control of your life, and no one else can control you if you do not allow it. Akashic records present the users with the opportunity to make personal choices in life with no undue influence from other people. Accessing the akashic records will tamper with the soul blueprint. Well, some people believe that they are not allowed to access the akashic records because they will tamper with their soul blueprint. According to this myth, the guide gives you the soul blueprint that can lead to the implosion of the whole world if you tamper with it. However, there is no reason you should deprive yourself of access to something that is already written or recorded. There is a purpose for anything that is written, and the records are no exception. It is the living who can read, so we can see that the records are specifically meant for us to read. You can choose your path in consultation with your guides, who have a responsibility to guide you in your path towards the growth of the soul. The guides are only there to help you, and there is no judgment or any hierarchy that can scare you. You can get as much support as you want from the guide, since you have free will. When you access your records, your reality will not be compromised. Everything will be joyful and fun as you learn. Information is not cast in stone, and you have the power and the will to change it so it can suit your needs. You can choose the information you want, which will help create the best life for yourself. You can get help from others while you choose the information that has true meaning to your life. Thus, accessing information from the records will not tamper with your soul blueprint, but instead gives you its power and strength so you can realize your goals and your aspirations. I am not gifted enough to access records. This myth emanates from the inferiority complex among different people. Whereas everyone can access the records, there is someone who is saying that they are not gifted to do the same. The question is, says who? You should also ask yourself why you feel that you are less than what you are worth. The belief that you hold for yourself can make you feel that you are not gifted to access records. But the truth of the matter is that this has nothing to do with the records. Some people lack self-confidence, and these are the people who believe that certain things are impossible. Accessing your records should be a matter of personal choice, and nothing can stop you. This helps you to identify your talents and divine gifts, which require belief and a willingness to allow the connection. To create this connection, people need to work on the relationship. Your willingness to be connected will determine your connection with your records. The primary thing you should work on is overcoming an inferiority complex that can make you feel that you...
I don't know what I'm doing with that damn grandson of mine. Came in from work last night, washed clothes, put them in the dryer. Now I'm trying to wash some clothes, and they still in there because came in, took a shower, and hauled ass, and they've been back since. Boy, that boy doesn't know he's a whore.
not gifted. Only then will you be able to access your records and change your life. A positive attitude leads to behavior change, which in turn can shape your perceptions and worldview. Some people simply believe that they cannot do something because of fear. Instead of thinking that you are not gifted enough to access the records, you need to have a positive attitude. To overcome the fear of the unknown, you should remind yourself that nothing is impossible. I am afraid of hearing negative things about myself. It is natural to have this kind of negative intuition about yourself, but the truth is that you are not as bad as you think you are. Some people fear opening their records for fear of hearing bad things about their past and their contributions to the world. The fear factor is mainly induced by a lack of self-confidence, and this has contributed to the downfall of many people. All the same, you should know that every person has a purpose on this planet, and your contribution cannot be like every individual. The fact that you matter should help you overcome the negative perceptions that you may have about yourself. Records mainly focus on love and truth. These two components play a pivotal role in shaping our integrity and how we relate with others in society. Therefore, you should accept your personality and remember that records are done out of love to help you realize weaknesses so that you can clear them. The records are also aimed at giving you the power to create a pleasant path where you choose right over wrong. Essentially, we all aim to be righteous, and this can be achieved if we are in a position to learn from previous mistakes so that we avoid following that same path again. The judgment about self is outdated, since it can only slide you more into shame. When you ask questions of the records, you should not always expect positive comments. In real life, constructive criticism is vital, since it helps us to realize where we are lacking. When we know your weaknesses, you are in a better position to improve yourself and to become a better person. Akashic records can provide information to solve problems immediately. There is also a false belief among people that Akashic records can provide specific information to help the users to immediately solve problems. In one way or the other, every person experiences confusion as well as frustration with life, such that they seek divine intervention to overcome the challenges. Some people believe that if they turn to the records, they can get immediate answers that can solve all their problems. Well, indeed, you will get support and answers to the questions and problems you are experiencing in life, but you should not expect everything to be sudden. The purpose of Akashic records is to help you self-introspect.
How is everyone this morning? Well, this afternoon, rather. Hope everyone's well. Whew. As for me, I'm still here. That's all that matters. Trying to do a little, like I say, the woman's work never done. I try to keep my sheets and stuff clean, because my two little children, my babies, try to keep them on the floor. They just spoil as hell. They wait till we go to sleep, then they jump their ass in the bed. You can't tell me them motherfuckers ain't got no good sense. Them damn dogs got more sense than some humans got.
so that you can get the truth of what you want from yourself. You can bring your questions to the records, and what you should expect to get is not a rapid response, but guidance that can help you overcome the challenges that you are facing. The response that you will get helps to open your heart and your soul to other alternatives that can then help you resolve the challenges that you are facing. There are different problem-solving strategies that you should apply to get long-lasting solutions to the challenges that you may be experiencing at any given time. While you can get the assistance that can help you solve different problems, the ultimate solutions come from your heart, which knows what is good for you.
Let's do us a remix. Y'all know I'm the remix master.
Partner, investigate each other's eyes. Begin to move your body slightly as you relax. Following 5 minutes, begin to contact each other exotically, alternating rubbing each other's arms, legs, neck, and different parts. After an additional 5 minutes, start to kiss and just kiss. Concentrate on each physical sensation you're feeling at the time. Sex is discretionary. You can build up to sex or not. Tantra is more about association than everything else. In the event that you have intercourse, go
Y'all make sure y'all
gradually.
smash that like button now. I don't
Furthermore,
usually ask, but
don't be
come on now, look
hesitant
out for
to
you,
be
girl.
inventive. Attempt new positions. Touch each other in new ways. And investigate uncovered ones. Therefore, the vast
I'm gonna say something
majority
I
of
know y'all
all
gonna want to hear.
step-by-step instructions to get into position.
Y'all gonna like that, ain't you?
Any position can be a tantric situation, as tantra is about connection and not specific movements. Therefore, as you start your adventure into tantric standards, you might need to begin with a portion of the basics. These may include yab yam or lotus. To do this with a partner, 1. Have your partner sit leg over leg. 2. Sit on your partner's upper thighs and cross your lower legs. 3. Breathe in a state of harmony and gaze into one another's eyes. To do this alone, 1. Sit leg over leg with your back straight. 2. Place your palms on your knees. 3. Begin to inhale gradually and deeply. Hand on heart. To do this with a partner, 1. Sit with folded legs, encountering your partner. 2. Place your correct hand on their heart. Have them place their right hand on yours.
How about this here?
3. Close your eyes and
The sacred
what
spot.
is the sacred spot during Tantra? The sacred spot is the tantric expression for portal to the second chakra, energy focus. The passageway is through the initiation of the G spot in the partners.
Uh-oh.
It is really a region, not just a spot in the body, that once enacted swells and loads up with sensation and can be amazingly pleasurable, realizing discharge and healing on numerous levels. The sacred spot holds profound feelings and ought to be contacted with respect and love. In cisgendered ladies, individuals appointed as female during childbirth and as yet picking that sexual orientation, the sacred spot is the female prostate and is found roughly somewhere between the back of the pubic bone and the cervix. Initiation of the sacred spot is frequently connected to the arrival of female discharge, or Amrita, which means divine nectar in Sanskrit. Tantric masseuse on sexual healing. Having positive sexual energy in your life is great for you and everybody around you, says Rachel. She's the lady my companions continue calling their sexual doula. And I'm here at her West Village Law / workspace to discover precisely what that implies. A West Coast transplant with a degree in brain science is a tantric masseuse. Her activity, in her very own words, is to assist individuals with arriving at their full limit with regards to delight. It's sex work, yet with a healing.
Can Akashic records make my future great? Well, Akashic records are specifically concerned about your intuition now, and there is often a false belief that they can predict your future and make it great. The records have nothing to do with acquiring unique skills that can Chapter 3, The Eternal Timeline. As explained in the previous chapter, the Akashic records contain every thought, intent, or emotion you have ever felt in this life or your previous ones. The records also contain possible future outcomes, which is why you may be tempted to access and read your records. The Akashic records of the past, present, and future create what is known as the eternal timeline. This timeline can be easily traveled through the pathway prayer process. However, Introduction and Guide to Akashic Tarot Reading. Despite their vast importance as a critical map to our souls, tarot started out as a simple parlor game for entertainment. The origin of tarot cards, as we know them today, goes way back to the 14th century. Artists in Europe created the first deck without the intention of creating a divinatory tool, but accidentally created one of the mightiest ones. These were simply intended as only an entertaining card game. The association between these cards and divination only started to appear in the 16th century, or early in the 17th century. However, their use was of much simpler nature than it is now. Over centuries, specifically during the beginning of the 18th century, tarot managed to establish its significance as one of the most important tools of divination. Suggestions started to be made for the possible meaning each card might hold, laying out their divinatory purposes. Nowadays, the magic of these cards has drawn more and more people to finally establish tarot as the most popular among different types of psychic readings. A basic overview. People aren't only drawn to tarot just for their ease of use. They aren't as easy as reading tea leaves or other methods such as pendulums. Their gravity lies in the power that they hold in understanding our higher selves and having a dependable gateway for interpreting what the future might hold for us. If you are still unfamiliar with the concept of divination and its different tools, you might fall under the wrong impression that tarot readings are equivocal to reading into the future. However, the truth is, while tarot cards are the closest thing we have to time machines, they still can't be used as a fortune-telling method by anyone and everyone. Bear in mind that grasping the concept and going through the guidelines of tarot is easy with practice, yet doing accurate readings isn't simple work. Not everyone is cut out for this talent. The Akashic Tarot. What started out as a simple deck of playing cards grew into hundreds and thousands of different options to choose from. You can find decks of cards that are based upon famous artwork, such as movies, series, books, and more. However, there is one deck that has stood the test of time, and that is the Akashic Tarot deck.
Oh, they got the cash. I ain't got
This
that.
is one of the most significant and mighty decks available. The gravity it holds lies in the fact that this is the only deck designed for accessing the Akashic records and unlocking their profound energy and abundant source of information. This tool is one of the most powerful ones that offer clear access to the higher mystical and magic powers that Akashic records encompass. You can use this deck for tapping into great fields of wisdom and seeking guidance throughout different aspects of your life. Maintaining your cards. The most important thing you need to look out for is protecting your tarot cards against any physical damage and keeping them clean from negative and evil energies. There are a few ways that you can do this, from consecrating your deck, wrapping the cards in a silk scarf, protecting them in a small box,
I keep my
or putting them in a
cards.
cloth bag that
Uh-oh,
is
see what
protected
flipped
by
out
a
here.
drawstring. Some people prefer to
Etheric-
resort to a
etheric
combination of these
cords.
different methods to
Etheric
save them
cords,
from any
that's what
harm
popped out.
that could reach them. How to consecrate your magic tools.
See what the
In
meaning of
ancient
that
Wicca
is.
and modern pagan traditions, all magical
Etheric
tools should be consecrated before any attempts of using them to interact with the divine. This ritual can still be used after
So
you
those
have already
oracle
felt
cards.
and played with your deck to expel any negative energy that may wrap your cards. This method comes in particularly handy in situations where you are not sure about the history of your magical tools, in terms of their past owners or who used them before they reached your path. However, you should bear in mind that some specific tools don't require any consecration before their use. Some practitioners view consecration as an unnecessary ritual that might disrupt their natural energy flow and confuse conscious and unconscious energy directions. Before cleansing their cards, some people prefer to get to know the deck by touching and feeling it. Keep in mind that there is no right way or wrong way of doing any ritual or even one solid purpose in doing it. Some people prefer to consecrate their magical tools and their jewelry, clothing, and the altar itself. The items used for this ritual are rather simple. You'll need a white candle.
Okay, that card that popped out was Urzula Dantor, goddess of etheric chords, Haiti, temple lovers, element fire. Urzula Dantor fought elbow to elbow with her people during the Haitian Revolution to protect mothers and children. She represents the healing of the Dark Mother. If it isn't wholehearted love, release it. Remember your worth. Wow. I can't make it up. See how that card popped out? The energy cords binding you and someone you know longer. Let's see, the energy cords binding you and someone you no longer wish to be attached to are strong. Look at that. That was meant for me. Look at that. You must be willing to let go. Told you. I can't make it up. Close your eyes. See divine swords of God / goddesses. Loving light separating you and dissolving the cords between you. You are both whole and healed. Just as you shower to cleanse physical grime, there is also grime in the form of energy cords, also called the karmic ribbons. Emotional cords are etheric cords. Spiritual maintenance is required. Goddess declaration. I am worthy, compassionate, and whole. Ashe.
A cup of water, some incense, and a bowl of salt. Each item represents an element and direction to summon the powers of the north, the south, the east, and the west, with guardians of air, fire, earth, and water. Cast your circle if you need to complete the ritual and cleanse your tools from any past owners or dark energy. Akashic tarot cards as gifts. There are 3 different beliefs when it comes to receiving a tarot deck as a present. Some fortune tellers believe that tarot cards lose their magnificent and spiritual values when they are received from someone else. These readers have strict rules against accepting tarot cards as a gift. However, there is one exception to this rule. If there is a person you trust who is gifting them to you as a purely heartfelt gesture, then there isn't a strong reason that pushes you to return the gift. They can then be used after a good cleansing and consecration. Some readers have a strong belief that tarot cards should never be bought. They must be received as gifts from people whom they have strong connections with
Hey,
for the
Princess
magic
Twilight,
powers
what's
of
up,
love.
boo?
Some other readers don't really care about the source of their decks, regardless of whether they buy their own or receive them as gifts. The source doesn't make one bit of a difference as long as the cards are clean from any negative energies and they don't have a wrong feel to them. What's important is the connection you build with your deck and the accuracy of your readings rather than their source. An overview of Akashic Tarot reading. Methods of reading have changed and evolved over the years. Since reading tarot cards is a highly intuitive process, many readers even adopted and developed their own unique ways of reading Akashic Tarot cards. They played with the traditional meanings of the card layouts. However, we can't point out a significant change that fell upon the cards themselves. There are different guidelines, books, and charts that will come in handy for beginners who are still trying to figure out the basics of doing a reading. Yet it's highly believed that the best way to the evolution of your talent is to start by feeling the cards, by holding them, and trying to understand what they are telling you. However, some basic tips should be considered to get to know your cards and protect them before we begin to unfold the different aspects of learning how to do Akashic Tarot reading. If you are trying to get familiar with a brand new deck of Akashic Tarot cards, then the best way to get to know the deck is by placing them under the pillow that you sleep on. This way, the cards will acquire your personal energy. Never leave your cards scattered all over the place. If you are carrying the cards with you, you can't just leave them in your pocket or purse. Hold them in a protective shield until you reach your destination. Many readers don't allow anyone else to touch their cards to prevent the cards from absorbing any vibrations other than their own. Others might prefer for a reader to shuffle or cut the cards before they begin reading. After cleansing your cards by consecrating them, you can limit their contact with any energies by storing them with a quartz crystal that absorbs all these energies. If your cards have been handled by anyone and you don't feel comfortable with their presence, it's better to reconsecrate your cards or leave them until they feel right to you again. The cleansing rituals aren't necessary if you don't feel the need for them. However, if you must do them or any other spiritual cleansing ritual, then it's important to do what feels right. Once you are comfortable with how your cards feel, you will notice how your readings will start to improve. A guide to Akashic Tarot reading. Well, just like any tool of divination, there is no right or wrong way of using it. Reading Akashic Tarot cards is an intuition that could easily differ from one person to another. The focal point is to use a card in your own unique way that allows you to shape your psychic abilities. There are a different number of layouts and spreads that could be altered and switched between to achieve the highest accuracy of your reading session. The steps to reading Akashic Tarot cards to unlock your higher self and to open a window to the future should start by understanding your cards. So number 1, get ready for your reading by interpreting the cards. The deck is divided into 2 main groups, Major Arcana and Minor Arcana. To understand the basics of a traditional deck, we will go through the 3 parts of Major Arcana that consists of 22 cards, or trumps. Before we dive deeper into the meaning behind each one of these cards, we need to quickly go through the Minor Arcana cards in the Akashic Tarot decks that repaint the events of our daily lives. Each group represents an element of the 4 essential elements. Wands that represent fire. Number 1 is the Ace of Wands. Number 2 is a 2 of Wands. The 3 of Wands. The 4 of Wands. The 5 of Wands. The 6 of Wands. The 7 of Wands. The 8 of Wands. The 9 of Wands. The 10 of Wands. The Page of Wands. The Knight of Wands. The Queen of Wands. And the King of Wands. Then we have the Pentacles that represent the earth. So we have the Ace of Pentacles, the 2 of Pentacles, the 3 of Pentacles, the 4 of Pentacles, the 5 of Pentacles, the 6 of Pentacles, the 7 of Pentacles, the 8 of Pentacles, the 9 of Pentacles, the 10 of Pentacles, then the Page of Pentacles, the Knight of Pentacles, the Queen of Pentacles, and the King of Pentacles. Also, there are swords that represent air, from the Ace of Swords up to the King of Swords, and cups that represent water, from the Ace of Cups up to the King of Cups. The Major Arcana. The first part, the material world, cards 0 to 7. The first part repaints the material world regarding job success, education, finances, and marriage. So 0 is the Fool. Despite what you might think, The Fool is the wisest trump of the major arcana, the one who knows everything. It represents wisdom, enlightenment, and guidance. The Fool symbolizes the eternal spirit of the deck, painted with the soul of the inner child, trust, and innocence. It gives way to a new sense, a new cycle, or a new chapter in life. Then there's number 1, the Magician. This card is the representation of the planet Mercury, with an infinity symbol over the head of the magician. It symbolizes a great mastering and control over all your conscious and unconscious processes. Number 2 card is the High Priestess. This is the card that represents emotions in Akashic Tarot, with its symbolization of intuition, the dream world, psychic energy, and all the feelings and instincts. She is a receptive mirror of the underworld and everything happening below the surface. This card is related to the women's cycle in terms of fertility, the womb, and the magic that women hold. Card 3 is the Empress. This card connects with the planet Venus. She is the goddess of love and the great mother of the tarot cards. This card relates to beauty, relationships, and peacemaking, and has an artistic side. She indicates mothership and your relationship with other women in your life. The 4th card is the Emperor. This tarot card comes with power, authority, leadership, responsibility, and action. Another side to him is masculine creativity, passion, and new beginnings. He is the father, the leader, the husband, the authority figure, or the man in your life. The 5th card is a Hierophant. This card symbolizes your connection with your God, guardian angel, and your higher self. This is a representation of practical wisdom and energy. The 6th card, the Lovers. This is the favored card for almost anyone who enjoys tarot readings. It indicates a golden key to a variety of choices and relationships. The Lovers card represents heaven, earth, union, love, communication, duality, and the balance between the masculine and feminine energies that we all hold within us. The 7th card is the Chariot. This is the card that combines the emotional side with the body. It's a clear representation of controlling emotions, the need for emotional protection, family, caring, and nourishment. Number 2, pick a single card. Before beginning this exercise, take the time to understand the meanings and the different symbols that the card holds. You also need to pay attention to the reversed meanings of the cards when they come up backward or upside down. Some readers believe that when the cards are reversed, that simply means that their meanings are also reversed. For example, the Lover's card would represent hatred, insecurity, and isolation, as opposed to its normal symbols. This exercise is rather simple. All you need to do is draw a card out of the first part of the major arcana randomly every day. As the day passes by, take some notes of its major events and how they relate to the card that you drew from the deck early in the morning. Some fortune tellers prefer to dedicate a notebook or keep a journal for every card that they draw, with highlights of their days relating to each card. You can then look back at the end of every week to reflect on the card that appeared the most and which cards were drawn more than others. This exercise allows a much easier understanding of the main energy of your records and the experiences that paint your aura. The second part, the intuitive mind, which are cards 8 to 14. While the first part of the major arcana focused on our intentions with the outer world regarding our family, our friendships, our love and emotion, and instincts involved in different relationships, the second part is more about individualism. The cards in this group focus more on our individual beings rather than dealing with societal issues. This part deals with the intuitive mind using these 7 cards that reflect how we feel more than symbolizing our thoughts. They are attuned to what our hearts need and our unending search for truth and faith. 8th card is the Strength. 9th card, the Hermit. 10th card is the Wheel of Fortune. 11th card is Justice. 12, the Hanged Man. 13, Death. And 14, Temperance. Number 3, a 3-card layout. After you have kept a habit of drawing a single card and documenting daily events that relate to these cards, you will have noticed a certain pattern or some regular trends that have announced themselves regularly over this period of time. Since you probably have gotten used to 2/3 of the major arcana, as well as the wands and pentacles of the minor arcana, you should now be developing a sense of every card and its meaning and symbol. Now it's time to add the second part of the major arcana to the equation. Add to your pile all the wands and pentacles from ace to king. Just like the previous exercise, shuffle your cards and make a habit of drawing, this time 3 cards each morning rather than just a single card. Don't look at the cards you pull up as individuals, but rather as a whole. Pay attention to the way they fit together and how they are connected. Are all of them connected, or is there...
I have another audio book with that'll explain the tarot more in depth, meaning of the tarot. So give me just a second, I'll start playing that for y'all.
certain card that seems to stand out every time. The rest of the exercise is the same as before, where you notice your daily events and how they relate to the cards that you draw out every morning. You can continue the habit of keeping a journal of every pile you pull and all the highlighted events of your day. The third and the last part. This is the intuitive mind, which are cards 15 to 21. You have already become familiar with the cards that deal with the material world and your connection to others. And you have added the second part that focuses on dealing with the intuitive mind and your individual being. The last part that encompasses the card
associated with fortune. No matter how long you may have been using tarot, you will always find new ways of interpreting cards and achieve insights that are... Introduction. Have you ever wanted to know what tarot is all about? Maybe there are people in your life that practice tarot, and you want to learn more about it before diving in yourself. Many people are drawn to tarot because of the air of mystery that surrounds it. Associated with fortune telling and the occult, tarot comes with certain negative connotations. You might have heard that you should only have a tarot deck in your possession if it was gifted to you, or that what you see in the cards will physically manifest in your life. We can thank pop culture and religion for warping the tarot's intentions. Forget everything that you think you know about tarot. What started as a hand-painted card game in Italy has evolved into a massive market catering to those seeking entertainment and tools for creating a deeper connection to our inner selves. Anyone can use tarot cards, and with some practice, you can learn to understand each card on its own and in relation to the other cards. In a nutshell, all tarot decks have 78 cards that are comprised of 22 major arcana cards and 56 minor arcana cards. Arcana can be translated as mystery, hidden, or secrets. In this book, we will delve into each card of the major arcana, which are emblematic and represent life lessons and karmic influences in our lives. We will also explore the minor arcana and the way they relate to what's happening in our daily lives. Because tarot allows us to tap into our psyches, the cards can act as a sort of spiritual guide for us to develop further understanding and connection in our lives. Developing a sense of connection with your tarot cards is a crucial step in the intuition and understanding that you'll develop when using them. We will explore ways to develop personal connections to each card and techniques for practicing how to perform readings for ourselves and others. Each of the major arcana descriptions contain potential references to questions that are being asked of the cards. This can help you learn to associate the type of question being asked to the representation given in the cards. As with anything that we want to be successful with, tarot requires patience and practice. When first learning how to read tarot cards, it's important that you keep an objective point of view and understand that it's okay to play with them if it's done respectfully. Once you've got a basic understanding of each card or suit, start practicing reading them in the reversed or upside down positions. No matter how long you may have been using tarot, you will always find new ways of interpreting cards and achieve insights that are only possible through time and experience. Remember to keep things positive, even when pulling cards that offer troubling contemplation. as we are the masters of our own lives and we create our own paths based on the choices we make. Chapter 1. What is Tarot? The History and New Renaissance. What is Tarot? It's helpful to think of the tarot as a symbolic map of consciousness. This map contains our journey through life in all ways, be it practical or spiritual. Reading tarot cards is a way of divining guidance and wisdom through the way that we lay or spread them out. Their placement and the way they relate to the other cards near them are how we interpret the messages they contain. Tarot cards are meant to provide insight into our lives and reveal what we may already know on a subconscious level. This means that you don't have to have psychic abilities to read tarot cards. However, the level of clairvoyance of the reader will dictate the type of reading that one will get. One person usually reads for another, but it's possible to read for ourselves. It's wise to remember that the cards themselves are not oracles. They do not reveal a future that is lying in wait for us, but rather we can use them to create the future we want. It's that revelation that the cards can hold that draws us to the tarot. The mystery and lore surrounding the cards keep some people away for fear of negative consequence, but others seek to understand them on a deeper level. While most tarot readers understand that instructional books on the subject serve as guidelines and give us basic definitions, it's the personal practice by each of us that develops a style, technique, and deeper knowledge. It's important to keep in mind that the cards themselves do not contain any certain truth, but that they serve as our mirrors and even windows that we can see a higher truth through. Every person can access this information when they bring intuition and sensitivity to their approach. History of the Tarot. Where did tarot come from? And what was its original intention? Most versions regarding the origin of the tarot claim they began as hand-painted cards used in taverns for fun during the Renaissance by Italian nobles. This card game mirrors the game we know as bridge. The tarot has morphed over the ages into modern-day decks and art that we have now. However, much of the tarot story remains unknown. This is because many perspectives, such as those of wise women who read cards in their homes, were never passed along in books and material available to the public. Much knowledge has been passed down orally over the years. There is some history that points to the tarot being much, much older than the Renaissance. It's much easier to view the history of tarot as an evolving timeline. Most history books point to the early 1400s as the time when the decks first appeared, but it wasn't until the mid to late 1600s that the Marseille tarot spread over Europe. Between this time and into the early 1900s, occultists studied and morphed tarot into being used for divination. In the 1960s and 70s, tarot grew in popularity all over the globe and hundreds of new decks were created. The Rider-Waite-Smith that contains some of the most universally recognized illustrations in the tarot. This deck was published in the early 70s by US Game Systems. By the 90s, many of the pagan and Wiccan symbols were traded for traditional Christian symbolism. In Europe, engraved stencils created by master paper producers were handed down over generations, creating fundamental iconography of the tarot. In the late 18th and 19th centuries, tarot spread all over Europe as a card game. Before the printing dynasties came about, most of the general public played tarot using flimsy paper, meant to be discarded, printed with woodblock stamps. The French Marseille tarot is arguably the most successful and eventually became the point of reference for card players and manufacturers to come. Still considered an excellent deck for beginners, the Marseille tarot seems to have details that will pop out at you even after you're familiar with the deck. In a minimalistic way, the cards maintain a consistent structure throughout. The minor pips, or cards, 1 to 10, are simply just a symbol repeated as many times as the card represents. For example, the 5 of Cups would have 5 actual cups and nothing else. In the minor arcana section of this book, we will explore the Marseille tarot representations. This can be helpful in your learning journey, as it will help you focus on the major arcana representations and the relationships of the minor cards. In the mid-19th century, the tarot was associated with planets, elements, zodiac signs, the Kabbalah, and alchemical symbology. Eliphas Levi and the assertions of others during this time created the connection between the tarot and Egypt, divinatory powers, and antiquity. Cartomancy, divination using cards, grew in popularity and in mystery during this time. However, many are still drawn to the Marseille deck, especially beginners to tarot, because it's the oldest complete deck. The images it uses are archetypes from our earliest recorded history. Those images contain heroic or serious primeval characters. The 22 allegorical images are associated with the human journey. It's quite possible in present times to find a deck with illustrations relating to virtually anything we'd like. They're almost all based off a mix between the Marseille deck and the more recent Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck. The Rider-Waite-Smith decks were made for fortune telling, and they represent the first time the minor arcana cards had illustrations. Pamela Coleman Smith's images in this deck set the bar for all the illustrations that followed. There are revisionist decks, such as the Morgan Greer, and postmodern decks from those such as Starchild Tarot that are all worthy of looking into. Tarot for today's world. You may have noticed an increase in interest surrounding tarot. It seems as if we are currently experiencing a sort of tarot revival, where tarot readings are being performed via live video feeds online. Tarot clubs are meeting up in public spaces to hold readings and fellowship with like-minded people. What started out as a more mystical practice that helped form the works of many artists and philosophers before us is now more of an insight into our current lives. Card interpretations can be given without the air of mystery or perceived implications. By removing the smoke and mirrors that have disguised tarot for too long, it is being open to new audiences that can express it as more of a creative act rather than a metaphysical one. This ability to creatively read a story that the cards present and apply it to certain aspects of our lives is quite attractive. This pull is partly because it's all about us. No one else can truly understand what the cards mean to you on a personal level. If you've never had your tarot cards read, start there. You should be able to achieve this quite easily if you are willing to have a reading performed online, or if you know of someone in your circle that has a tarot deck. You can just pull one card, or find out your birth cards, or pose a question that you need insight on. Keep in mind that there is still a certain stigma that comes with the tarot. Many followers of religion still warn against the idea of being able to control our own fates and rejecting God's creation and care over all life. Some leaders in religion are still creating fear around the tarot by saying its use will attract demons and evil spirits. Even with the negativity that still surrounds the tarot, many young people are drawn to embrace the mystic. As older generations sought consolation and order to their lives through religion, many people now are finding a sense of control through tarot. For many, the meditative practice of reading tarot cards is in and of itself a reason to continue doing it. Handing over major life dilemmas and decisions to the ancient illustrations found in the tarot can be both comforting and insightful during times where guidance is needed. Chapter 2, Tarot 101, Getting Started. Now that you're Chapter 3, the Major Arcana. The cards of the Major Arcana are numbered as 0 through 21. The cards align with the journey of life and represent passages that we all must take. Though we all face the milestones depicted in the Major Arcana, we do so at different times and with different meanings. Some things will be recurring and phases, and it's important to remember that there is no one point of beginning or end. The Major Arcana be a journey that starts with the Fool and ends with the World card, that once completed starts again. These cards build upon each other and connect in various and evolving ways. The following descriptions are based on the traditional illustrations accompanied by each of the Major Arcana. Remember to develop your own sense of what each card represents and take note of these things in a journal. The Fool. The Fool is the first card and the last card in the Major Arcana of the Tarot, and is not assigned a number. Commonly referred to as the 0 card, There is no actual number, even 0, on the card itself. The Fool is known as the start of the journey, a free spirit, and sometimes it has been used as a wild card that is able to be played at any time. He is known for plunging headfirst into situations with no thought or respect for limits and boundaries. The Fool is usually depicted as a beggar or jester, but is also known as someone that is invisible to the crowd, a prince in disguise. The Fool does not care about what others may think of him or what he looks like. He represents the freedom of all things and is pure potential. Enthusiasm and joy and spontaneity are his weapons. Mirroring the misery of the human condition, the Fool enters and exits on his own terms. The card seems to say to us that it's the essence of our spirit before we came into existence. The Fool is our complete potential in this world, all our talents, gifts, and qualities. Through the Fool, we realize that the only restraints and limits are the ones we impose on ourselves. The Fool teaches us that every moment is a new one, and we can begin at every turn. He teaches us that we are protected and should not fear the wild recklessness. The Fool shows us to embrace those things that bring new chances, fresh air, and possibilities we thought unimaginable. The Fool is asking that we take his hand and leap without fear. The Fool is our possibilities, our sense of overwhelming potential. He represents the very beginning, but also the end, the genesis or representation of all possibility and everything that's come before that's led us here. Not to be a journey from birth to death, not an infant or newborn. Don't think of this literally. A journey to individuation or enlightenment. A journey to know who you are. You can be the Fool many times of your life, at that great beginning. Upright. The Fool can be interpreted as a completely fresh start and the beginning of something new. The card says to us that we can begin again and that we are full of potential. Also interpreted as finding new roads and pathways to travel while holding no detachment to responsibilities or worries. In general, this card appearing in a reading shows something unexpected and completely new. This also indicates the need to take the time to look before you take the steps. Spiritual, new discoveries, spiritual journeys, new knowledge. Keep doing what is right for you and don't look at what others are doing. Finance and career. It can indicate the time to move forward if there has been any thought of starting a new business or going for a new job. For something you are already working on, it can mean new energy and fresh ideas. The Fool reminds us to work hard and you will get more than you expect. Be clever using the new chances and opportunities that are coming your way. Love and relationships. The Fool asks us to let go of our fears and trust in our hearts. Indicating an arrival of a fun-filled romance, keep your eyes open for true love. Impulsive and carefree romance. Health. Good and improving health, but also being accident-prone. If being pulled for health, take care. Reversed reading. Interpreted as stagnancy, being stuck, and not having the willingness to move or experience new things. This could be because of fear or feeling trapped, causing paralyzing and unmoving action in your life. Also thought to mean making negative choices and acting without thinking. Denying the truth. A new beginning that is blocked. Difficulty seeing the world with fresh eyes. Reckless behavior. Symbols for the Fool. Illustration breakdown. Bag on the shoulder representing experiences and lessons, both negative and positive. The experience that we all carry with us into the future. Clothing. Sometimes the rags of a beggar or the ornate jester. The Fool will have an extravagant and unconventional personality that shines through all encounters and situations. Animal. Instinct. Sometimes an irrational impulse that helps overcome dangers and obstacles. Sometimes self-defeating. Forces attempting to hold you back or push you into the unknown. Also, the deep loyalty of another. Feather. Red feathers indicate vitality, passion, and innocence. Keywords. Wandering, adventure, strangeness, potential, playful, trickster, originality, risk, learning, spontaneity. Reversed keywords. Carelessness, risk, lack of hope, arrogance. The Magician. The number 1 card. The Magician is the first card in the Major Arcana, the only card that refers to the suits of the minor cards in the Major Arcana. representing the power of creation using desire and willpower, sometimes represented by Mercury, the planet god of smooth talkers and salesmen. Mercury was the god of thieves. The magician can be known as a trickster as well. This relates to the sleight of hand, the cleverness, and medicine man. The magician reveals the raw, undirected, and undeveloped power of each element to us. The magician is known as an artist and craftsman, admired for having powerful mental abilities, physical coordination, and great confidence. On the other hand, a quick change artist that is hard to trust, as the truth may be confused. The magician's real strength is being able to tackle any situation with ease because of their wealth of resources, improvisation, and guided imagination. The 4 elements in the form of the magician's tools are at his disposal. He is directing the energy of virtue and light into the material realm. The magician can manifest magic quickly, and their ambition is ever growing. Use the power of the magician to make yourself known to the universe. We are conduits that bridge the spiritual and material planes. With the magician's tools, we manifest. The magician is telling you to manipulate, ignite, and challenge the world to achieve this manifestation. He reminds us that we have everything we need before us, and we will always receive everything that is required. The magician is the power of intention, reminding us that we are unstoppable once we've claimed our self-power. He invites you to make magic with him. The magician urges us to use our will and intellect to make things happen. With focused attention and directing our will, all potential for success is at our fingertips. If we act with concentration and awareness, we can benefit from our creative forces. When studying this card, or when you are pulling 1 card a day for guidance, the magician indicates strong spiritual awareness and psychic abilities. Knowing that we have everything we need, if you are interested in using this awareness, you will be surprised by the results you can achieve. Upright. The magician reveals to us new ideas. This is done so that we can verbalize and actualize those ideas. The union of that divine force above and that which is below is reflected in the magician. This represents energy and the energetic creation of new things. He can indicate a time that you are inventive, charismatic, and persuasive. Because the magician is also known as a trickster, if the card is meant to represent someone in your life, be sure that they are genuine, and that magnetic connection is not a con. Finance and career. The magician shows us a potential opportunity where your talent will be showcased and extra money can be made. This could be a promotion, a new job, or consulting focused. It could be a good time for starting a new business venture or connections. Feeling self-assured and powerful, it could be your finances are improving, or that the opportunity for making extra money is very high when you pull the magician. This card relates to speech and writing, such as storytelling, public speaking, and sales. This could represent self, what you want to be, someone who was, is, or may be in your life. Love. Generally known as a positive card, the magician represents a great time to meet someone new. This can mean a strong and easy love with your partner and the end of the conflict with talking. Health. Representing strength, the magician is known to represent getting well by trying alternative therapies and experienced doctors. A sign of healing, if you will. Reversed reading. The magician reversed can represent a lack of intelligence, an absence of training or education, and a lack of knowledge. This could mean not reaching anything through the actions you are taking. Communicating and articulating ideas to someone could be blocked. Do not be consumed with self-doubt. This card reversed also warns of someone in your life that you believe to be knowledgeable and trustworthy, but is attempting to manipulate or use you. Symbols for the magician, illustration breakdown. Infinity, lemniscate. Sometimes shown in the curves of their hat brim, the esoteric sign of infinity can also be seen just above the magician's head. This is a representation of being able to turn every thought in each direction. Wand, represented by a candle that's burning at both ends, the magician's wand is raised towards the heavens, the ether, as the other hand points towards the earth. This is the visual interpretation of divine immanence, connective heaven and earth. Tools. On the magician's table are found the 4 elements of earth, air, fire, and water, represented in the 4 suits of the tarot. Water and knowledge are symbolized by a cup. Air and courage are represented by a knife. The secrets of nature and the earth element are found in the pentacle or coin symbol. And finally, the wand of ambition and passion represents the fire element. Table sometimes shows with 3 legs, representing the 3 worlds in which the magician acts: physical, spiritual, and intellectual. This shows the plane of reality that the magician manipulates using the tools. Keywords: talent, energy, determination, power, desire, communication. Reversed keywords: manipulation, powerlessness, greed, weakness. The High Priestess, the number 2 card. The High Priestess suggests possessing an inherent sense of good judgment and strong intuition. Representing serenity, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, the High Priestess is the guardian of our subconscious and intuition. She tells us to pay attention to your senses and signs from the universe. Also thought to indicate a change in our lives and a point to the unknown. As the custodian of all knowledge, the High Priestess can understand the secrets in the sacred scroll that is on her lap. As the symbol of analysis, study, and research, her gifts are in theory and abstraction, not practical applications, linked to all the feminine aspects of the divine. This card represents the knowledge inside of you and your inner truth. She is thought to hold on to these secrets and reminds us that someday we will know their truth. The High Priestess springs from deep wells of knowledge that reside inside of us. She contains the truth of our past, present, and future, essentially the book of us. She is the inner voice who responds when you seek an answer. She represents our intuition and subconscious, and we are called to listen and trust her voice. Learn to decipher the communications we receive from her in symbols and impulse. When we trust in the guardian of our inner knowledge, we will not be led astray. She is the card of inner knowledge that calls to us to try something different and move out of our comfort zones to become a better version of ourselves. She calls us to trust our own instincts and the signs that we feel and see. Upright, the High Priestess reveals to us hidden secrets and knowledge of the occult. She is the keeper of moon magic and those feminine mysteries. When this card is pulled, it can represent an unrevealed future and the hidden influences that are at work in our lives. A good indication that your life is changing, and a reminder to pay attention to our dreams and signs presenting themselves to us. Finance and career. This card says that though we shouldn't expect sudden new gains or income, our finances are safe, and the investments we've made will be beneficial in the long term. An indication of important information and/or opportunities that we will benefit from. The High Priestess can also represent that someone is not being completely honest with you. Something is concealed from you regarding your finances and/or career. Love, thought to indicate a need to look deeper on your true self. This card is also thought to mean the need for taking some time out to do this. She represents being desired by more than one person around you. Health, the High Priestess urges you to trust your instincts and body, and through the power of intuition, listening to our bodies when we feel something may be wrong. For women, an indication of fertility and hormonal balance. With health, she reminds us to take care of ourselves physically. Reversed reading. When this card is interpreted in reverse, it indicates that one is disconnected from their inner selves. This can mean a block regarding your intuition. She can also represent missing important signs in our lives. The High Priestess reversed can indicate focusing on others' opinions and approval when she calls us to listen to that inner voice and be true to ourselves. Representing not taking the time to relax when we are so busy rushing around in our daily lives and frantic, irrational behavior. Another reverse meaning is of a person deceiving you and the ways we avoid the truth in a situation. Symbols for the High Priestess. Illustration breakdown. Veil. Fabric is traditionally embellished with pomegranates and palms. This veil prevents us from knowing what is seen beyond it, and the inaccessible knowledge that the High Priestess guards. The veil is the threshold of that hidden knowledge. The pomegranates are known to represent her ambition. Headwear. The tiara symbolizes contact with all 3 levels of existence: physical, spiritual, and intellectual. The headwear is also representative of the 3 phases of the moon. This crown of Isis indicates that she is a believer of magic. Columns. The High Priestess is typically depicted as sitting between two pillars known to be at Solomon's temple. The right column, Yakin, is referred to as the pillar of establishment. The left column, Boaz, is referred to as the pillar of strength, thought to represent the duality of nature, the negative and positive, and the masculine and feminine. As she is located between the two columns, she represents a responsibility to serve as a mediator between the depths of reality. She acts as the third pillar, or this path between. Moon. There is a crescent moon at her feet that is commonly depicted in visions of the Virgin Mary. This indicates that the High Priestess has a complete grasp over emotion. Scroll. She is shown holding the Book of Knowledge, or the Torah. The scroll, or sometimes book, is shown neither being opened or closed. Cross denotes a connection to the seasons of the earth and a connection to the earth itself. The cross is a focal point where all energies from above and below meet. A connection between the yin and yang, the black and white. Keywords: feminine, mystery, study, introspection, fertility, inner power, understanding. Reversed keywords: blocked, imbalance, frustration, undesired attention, fertility issues. The Empress, the number 3 card. The Empress is associated with a strong maternal influence and is a great sign if you are seeking harmony in relationships or have the hope of starting a family. This maternal force represents the transformation of knowledge into action. She provides and creates life and supports and protects others. The Empress reflects authority, conviction, and strength. Traditionally connected to pregnancy, this could mean a pregnancy of the body or the mind. She rules with the Emperor, who reflects all the male aspects, and her femininity is complementary to him, as she is more nurturing and emotional. She is the essence of femininity and creativity within us. She calls us to never doubt the power. We must transform and manifest the world as we have imagined it. The Empress encourages us on every step of our journeys. She is our greatest champion, and we are safe within her arms. She lets us know that we are never without her touch, as she will love us forever and listen to us. She sees the potential we have within us, and we are entwined with her in the internal fabric of life. She calls us to create extraordinary possibilities. She indicates a good time for starting a spiritual path and an ability to easily connect to higher powers who will lead you through your instincts. Upright. The Empress reveals to us exposure to strong bouts of artistic and creative energies. This could be an addition to your immediate or extended family, or a family of a close friend. Generally thought to be a very good sign for you and those around you. This card tells of a new beginning and the importance of being understanding and sensitive. When this card is pulled, it can indicate great luxury, a knowledge that anything is possible and that creativity and growth are abundant. She allows us to know that the answer is yes. She signifies a strong connection to our femininity, such as nurturing, sensuality, and creative expression. She calls on us to connect with that feminine energy and create beauty in our lives. Take a moment to reflect on all that surrounds us that we can offer gratitude for. Concentrate on this so that you can build on this energy and create more of it as abundance in your life. Venture out into nature and feel the energy of the earth so that you can reach higher planes of consciousness. Finance and career. The Empress indicates prosperity and cash flow. This could be a good time to make investments or to trust your intuition and instincts. She reminds us to share with those in need and to inspire them with our passions. She shows us being rewarded for our efforts and completing our projects on time. Love. This card represents an excellent time for love and romance in both platonic and non-platonic relationships. Committed relationships become more loving and deeper, while those looking may meet their special ones sooner than later. Regarding love, the Empress can indicate good sex, and as a symbol of motherhood, it means to take care to avoid unwanted pregnancies. Health. The Empress tells us to listen to our bodies. Allow yourself to rest and enjoy life. If you are trying for pregnancy, it is an excellent time. Reversed reading. This card reversed can indicate suppression of your feminine side and a need to embrace it so those energies can be balanced. This applies to both men and women. Upside down, the Empress can show a lack of growth in the area or situation in question. It could be that it is not a good time to move forward with any ideas or plans, or that you could expect obstacles and challenges on your path. This could mean that your resources are scattered and that you are stifled as an artist. The reversed Empress translates to infertility, though not specifically dealing with sexual fertility. Symbols for the Empress. Illustration breakdown. The crown. Her crown is a symbol of the supremacy of intellect, a golden tiara that is thought to be the sun itself. The crown can be traditional or made from 12 stars. This signifies her connection to the mystical realm and the earth cycles. Throne. The throne is thought to represent common thoughts, and the Empress sitting on it expresses stability and her capacity to rise above them. Scepter. The Empress's scepter shows a power that she has over the material world. This also expresses the combination of sensibility and sense. Robe. Her robe is sometimes shown without embellishments, but when there is a pattern, she is typically shown wearing a gown that has feminine symbols such as the pomegranate and other symbols of fertility. Heart and Venus sign, expressing the Empress's qualities as a mother and her female nature. Nature/water. The Empress is shown sitting in a lush, beautiful forest near a stream. This indicates her connection with life itself and Mother Earth. Drawing a sense of peace from the water and trees, she is rejuvenated by nature's energy. The lushness represents her connection to the vital energies and the power of life. Keywords: abundance, fertility, creativity, pleasure, power, feminine, protection. Reverse keywords: tension, insecurity, infertility, disharmony, unproductive. The Emperor, the number 4 card of the Major Arcana. The Emperor represents a beneficial higher power and the presence of authority. He is the ultimate paternal figure, an archetype of father. The Emperor expresses creative energy and the male qualities of assertiveness, troubleshooting, and taking directed action. He uses intermediaries and subordinates. While he maintains discipline, he lacks the passion held by the Empress. He enjoys setting and reaching concrete goals and reflects action aimed at rational and organizational activities. The Emperor is impartial and is rarely involved personally in situations. He is the pure expression of masculinity. He is known to be the part of us that creates habits and patterns and our learned behavior. He powers our decisions and judgments and is the part of us that orders the world. He is how we shape and form a potentially unruly existence. The male counterpart of the Empress, he is a solid and stable man. Though he can be rigid and stubborn, he is a powerful protector. He signifies the dominance of logic and structure over our emotions. He has power and energy for life. The Emperor can indicate forgetting an important spiritual part of yourself. He calls us to use our senses without the rational and logical parts of ourselves completely dominating. Upright. The Emperor reveals to us a powerful leader demanding our respect and authority. It means that as a leader, you have a firm but fair hand and a clear vision of what you want to create. You organize those around you to manifest goals. And while you listen to their advice, you have the final say. You are not afraid of conflict, and you won't hesitate to protect those you care about by using your power. You are repaid with loyalty and the respect that you deserve. This card draws us to claim our authority as leaders and influencers, and to never let others put us down. This card reflects the rules and regulations of a system. We can create law and order by applying guidelines to situations. By doing this, we create calm out of chaos by breaking down a problem into its parts and creating the actions needed to resolve it. The Emperor tells us to take a strategic and organized approach and to stick to our plans until they are realized. He signifies expertise and worldly knowledge. Pulling this card can mean that you enjoy offering guidance and advice to those that may need it, using the wisdom you have gained. Finance and career. When you pull the Emperor upright, it may indicate an apex in your career, or the ability to become your own boss. It can represent your hard work finally paying off in terms of success and status. This could mean another person in your career that is willing to support you. The Emperor guides us to take logical and practical approaches to new job paths. Regarding finances, this card tells us to remain in control of our spending and to be aware of where our money is going. Love. could signify a romance with an older man or a powerful woman. It can represent a need to be more open with your feelings. Thought to mean a good sign for relationships, calling for stability and endurance in them. Health can indicate being too hard on oneself and a reminder to be gentle to our bodies and to work at our comfort levels. It's a call to seek medical treatment and to follow prescriptions, but a good sign for health and for being well. Reversed reading. The Emperor reversed can signify being too rigid in your thinking. This can manifest as an abuse of authority and overuse of power. This could be coming from you or another authoritative figure in your life, and could even be coming from childhood issues with your father. This card reversed tells us to consider all the roles that power is currently playing in our lives. It begs us to ask ourselves if we are asserting our dominance and power in ways that leave others feeling powerless. It asks us to consider the ways we give away our personal power for the appeasement of others, especially those in authority. This can be a sign that others are looking to you as their expert and leader, but that you are shying away from that role, preferring to stay out of the spotlight. The reversed Emperor could be asking you to take a stand with an authority figure in your life. This could be a boss or an environment, and when we see this card reversed, we need to pay attention to our self-discipline to get things done and our commitment to our goals. In relationships, a reversed card may suggest an unequal partnership. It brings attention to where our independence and freedoms may have been diminished by another's. This could represent a sudden shock or a loss of control and temper. Reversed, the Emperor signifies relinquishing power and confusion regarding how to proceed forward. If not in relation to a person, it can represent your emotions and mind being out of balance. It begs that we stay logical and listen to our hearts to succeed. Symbols for the Emperor. Illustration breakdown. Scepter, a representation of the Emperor's right to rule and his reign. Typically represented by a globe and a cross, the scepter symbolizes the power he has over the material world. Crown, a symbol of strong will and dominance over emotions and instincts. Typically depicted with a long white beard that represents his experience gained and the knowledge he has regarding ruling and being an authority over his people. Throne, the Emperor's throne signifies a concrete authority. This refers to stability and solidness. Adorned with the head of rams, his astrological sign of Aries is represented on the throne. Ram's heads. The sign of Aries represents a strong will and the power of creation. Mountains/desert. The Emperor is typically shown with barren mountains in the background. These can show his determination and ambition for greater heights. As opposed to the lush greenness found in the Empress card, these barren mountains represent a ruling with strength and force and grit, and highlight his leadership capability. Keywords: masculinity, rigidity, supremacy, experience, discipline, domination, rationalism, tradition. Reversed keywords: stubbornness, chaos, loss of control, excessiveness, submission. The Hierophant.
Yeah, the Emperor in reverse. That's a narcissist.
5 card. Along with the High Priestess and the Hermit, the Hierophant is one of the strongest spiritual cards in the tarot. He is never wrong and works in complete harmony with the universe, acting as a bridge between spirits and men and the sky and the earth. The Hierophant is a traditionalist and calls us to value rules and laws. He represents the accepted forms and ways of teaching and knowledge. This card is connected to any spiritual notions we can come up with. It calls us to do the right thing and to remember that we must do the right thing for ourselves. Regarding spirituality and finding the right thing for ourselves, it calls us to stand up for our own beliefs, to create rules and systems to use in our lives to get us where we want to be. While the High Priestess guards the mysteries, the Hierophant brings them to the people. He is a transmitter of wisdom and counsel. He guards those dogmas of tradition and habits. He is the gateway to both material and spiritual knowledge and offers an objective point of view to help us learn. He asks that we do the same for others. His answers will appear in the form of questions. Upright. The Hierophant reveals to us adherence to traditional ethics and rules, fitting into society and being in the role of both student and mentor. When this card is drawn upright, you may have concerns regarding your spirituality. and it calls you to make the time to allow your spirit to expand. He encourages us to learn those fundamental principles regarding our desires. This could mean working with a mentor or teacher about spiritual beliefs and values. Also representing a wise authority figure, the Hierophant signifies being part of a group or institution. If you do not have a sense of community, he calls us to identify with others and adopt ways of thinking to create further learning opportunities. Finance and career. When the Hierophant is pulled regarding money, it can represent avoiding risk or taking a route that is tested in ways to handle your money. This can mean seeking the advice of bankers and financial experts, as it's a good time for investments in stable markets. He warns us against taking risks with our finances and spending too much. In your career, he signifies success if you are playing it by the rules. Love. Generally thought to be a good sign for those in relationships, the Hierophant represents commitment and having deep roots. It can also signify a new relationship that is built on love and commitment is on the way. He warns against going against conventional methods in obtaining and maintaining relationships. Health. This card calls us to bring healthy habits into our physical and mental lives. Rituals can be especially helpful for you right now. If there are challenges with health, it calls you to stick to conventional medicine, as these traditional therapeutic means have a high chance of success now. Reverse reading. Upside down, the Hierophant reminds us that we are our own teachers, seen as a guide for us to follow our own paths rather than others. This card reversed signifies a time where you are ready to go on your own and do things your own way, even if it's against convention. You no longer need external approval. This card reversed also asks us to challenge the status quo. It says that we seek out opportunities to reclaim our personal powers and test the ideas that you were taught as the truth. He tells us that it is time to make our own rules. He also signifies a need to examine the way things are done and questioning their alignment with our values. This could represent a conflict with an authority figure, as this card reversed can be interpreted as a rebellious teenager who questions society. Pulling this card reversed can also mean that you are ignoring advice or have an unwillingness to learn. Be careful that you are not disrespecting your elders. The Hierophant reversed can represent a feeling of being restricted by structure and a loss of control and/or flexibility in your life. Symbols for the Hierophant. Illustration breakdown. Columns. The Hierophant sits between two pillars known to represent rigor and mercy. The columns are known as pillars in King Solomon's temple. Three-tiered cross. This triple scepter represents the three theological virtues: faith or dogma, hope or prayer, and charity or benevolent action. This scepter signifies his religious status. Three-tiered tiara, representing the three realms over which he rules: the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious. This signifies the ability to direct thought into those worlds at will. Papal coat, typically depicted wearing three robes, one of red, blue, and white. This coat represents the Hierophant's authority over spiritual matters. Clerics. At the feet of the Hierophant are found two followers kneeling. This represents an initiation into the church or spiritual opportunities achieved through prayer and earnest request. This represents a rite of passage needed to enter the next level and having a shared group identity. Naked feet. The Hierophant's naked feet signify his distance from material concerns, as well as his humility. Crossed keys. At his feet, these crossed keys show the ability to guide others and a balance between the conscious and subconscious minds. He holds the keys to wisdom and knowledge, and he can unlock those mysteries. Keywords: guidance, religion, wisdom, ritual, mentor, instruction, dogmatism, spiritual truth. Reversed keywords: unconventional, rebel, nonconformity, disillusionment, rule-breaking. The Lovers. The number 6 card depicts free will and the human ability to choose. The Lovers represents a very strong emotional and sexual component and indicates romantic relationships. This can represent the union between lovers with vowed loyalty, even when finding themselves exposed to dangers of jealousy and temptation. Known for representing being in harmony with oneself, the Lovers is a card of raw honesty. We must be willing to be our most vulnerable in order to share our truest feelings. The lovers are the embodiment of the choices we make in life. They are the union of all opposites and everything that we attract. This energy keeps humanity moving forward and is the wave of desire and attraction we feel. They advise us to choose wisely and feel everything as our desires and needs feed our creativity. Upright. The lovers reveals to us that by communicating honestly and openly with our loved ones, we can create fulfilling and harmonious relationships that are built on respect and trust. When you pull this card, it can represent clarifying your beliefs and values. This could be a time where you are figuring out exactly what you stand for. You may be deciding what is essential to you. This card calls us to get out in the world and start making choices for ourselves while being true to ourselves. Representing choice, the lovers are a sign of moral dilemma where we must consider all consequences before acting. This could be your value system is being challenged or that you are being called to take a higher path. They let us know that if we choose to love, we choose the best version of ourselves.
That's right.
The lovers call us to unify dual forces, bringing together opposite parts to create something harmonious. They remind us that there is always an equal amount of positive and negative in a situation, as much challenge as there is an opportunity. They encourage us to accept this duality and build unity. Finance and career. The lovers signify an attraction in money and finances. It may be a good time to seek new business opportunities or going for a new job. Also representing a strong partnership of two people that work well together. It's also a reminder that business and love isn't always the best idea. Love. Known as very positive for love, it can signify you are in or heading towards a lasting relationship that is worth committing yourself to. The bond and link between you will increase more than you could imagine, and it's a soulmate card. A good omen for the beginning of a relationship for those that are single. Health. The lovers contain several meanings when representing the health aspect of our lives. It can be a reassurance that you have the right support should any issues arise. It can indicate issues with any organs that are paired in our bodies, such as kidneys, eyes, etc. The lovers can also indicate choices that need to be made regarding treatment courses. Reverse reading. The lovers reversed can signify a breakup of friends, relatives, and lovers. It can also mean that people are together for the wrong reasons. This can indicate a difficulty in making choices and a pattern of being in and out of relationships. When we see the lovers upside down, it lets us know of a wrong choice or one that was made from fear and haste. This card can indicate an affair or relationships that have gone sour or a breakup.
One every day.
There may be a need to stabilize your emotions and end quarreling. Symbols for the lovers. Illustration breakdown. Angel. An angel is shown above two nude figures and is thought to be Raphael, which means God heals. Raphael represents emotional and physical healing, as well as blessings. His placement represents the sanctity of a higher power. Snake, or tree of knowledge. Shown winding its way up the trunk of the fruit tree, the snake represents the nature of choice and the ramification of duality. The snake is a representation of the temptation of sensual pleasure.
That's what I be trying to tell y'all. They they demonize the snake. When the snake really is a good thing. The snake, if it's such a demon, then why is it wrapped around a staff on the side of every ambulance in the country, in the world? If it's such a demon, that snake really represents God. Tell you the truth, that's what it is. Because it's the closest thing. It represents Mother Earth, Gaia. Because that's the closest thing to the earth. Because it crawls on the earth. It's one with the earth. It also represents the spine, the Kundalini riser. That's all. See what I'm saying? They twisted that shit so bad it don't make no damn sense.
And rebellion. The tree of knowledge represents gaining new knowledge and growth, and responsibility and awareness. Nudity. Signifying a complete vulnerability with the presence of each other, the couple is at one with the nature around them. The man looks towards the woman, and the woman looks towards the angel, thought to represent a path from physical desire to spiritual concerns. Tree of life. Shown behind the man, the tree of life is a symbol of ambition and drive. The tree is shown with flames that represent passion and the nature and primary concern of man. Mountain, sometimes depicted as volcanic, the mountain represents an eruption of passion when the two lovers meet. It's also showing the weight and reward of personal responsibility and the solitude of choice. Adam and Eve. Eve signifies a receptive nature and the female, yin polarity, while Adam signifies a creative nature and the male, yang polarity.
The conscious and the subconscious.
Keywords: love, choice, harmony, passion, eros, bonding, affection, pleasure. Reversed keywords: conflict, disagreement, opposition, disharmony, confusion, pressure. The Chariot, the seventh card of the major arcana.
I'm gonna
The
stop it there.
Chariot represents up.
I'll come back tomorrow with some more of this because this is a 6-hour book. No, it's 3 hours. But I already done been on over 2 hours, so I'm gonna kill it right there until later. Till later on, I've been moving around. I don't cook. I really didn't feel too hot today. I don't cook. Been washing clothes, cleaning up. Been recording. So I'm gonna chill for a minute or two. Run the streets and see what's going on out here in these YouTube streets. As always, my loves, I love you all. I send you nothing but peace and blessings, high vibrations and positive energy. Go within so you never go without, my love, because that's above, so below. This has been your girl, Empress Goddess, the Georgia Peach. If you like my content, please hit the like button, subscribe, and share. Shay, my loves. Yeah, I got me a honey bun.